薄いのアホ。
プリズムパワーメイクアップオーカードレディー。
Welcome to Shojo Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, March 28th, 2026, we'll be shoujo and telling about the first 10 volumes of Please Save My Earth by Saki Hiwatari. I'm your host, Ashley McDonald, and I'm joined by Autumn. Hello, Autumn.
Hello, Ashley.
Oh my gosh, Autumn, you are a new guest, which I've been struggling with finding new guests, and I was so excited to get your email. You want to tell the people about yourself?
Sure. I write online sometimes under the name The Moon in Autumn. And as I was originally writing this in, I was like, I think that's probably unrelated to this manga, but I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure since that was a long time ago. My being on this manga podcast credential is that I'm a person who has read a lot of manga. I used to own the manga section when I worked at my local Borders for several years, and I used the heck out of that employee discount, RIP Borders. And then those Right Stuff sales, RIP Right Stuff.
No, we live in not a good time, no.
So me and my 16 shelves of manga and anime are happy to be here. So basically I'm surrounded by manga and I like it, and I like liking it with other people, which brought us together.
You have way more manga than me. Okay, to be fair, the manga is stacked like 3 rows deep on this shelf, but I basically have like one big shelf of manga and then like manga spread throughout other things. But like,
I was gonna say, you have so much electronic manga at this point that
yes.
I'm sure you have a significant collection there, but it doesn't look like it doesn't take up the physical space, which is the whole point, right?
Yeah. I was like, I do also have like a pretty decent, because some of these things I'm just like, man, I'm not spending all that money to get physicals.
Yeah, even some of the ones that are just at like regular standard retail price too, and you're just like,
if it's super long, I'm like, it's
$10.
cheaper to get
yeah.
digital. So I'm like, I go with what I can get here. All right.
Yep.
So this is going to be the spoiler-free zone for the first, I don't know, I always say 10 to 15 minutes. I feel like it winds up being 20. I don't know. Don't quote me on anything.
Starting the timer now.
No. So we will try to keep it very high level. See if you are interested in reading Please Save My Earth. You know, you can judge by these 20 minutes. I would also say that this is not even actually all the way halfway through. It's 21 volumes. We've read the first 10. So, I mean, I don't control what you think is a spoiler. Like, if you don't think talking about the first half of a series is a spoiler, then it's not. I'm just warning you of what we're doing here. All right. So, Autumn, would you like to tell the people what Please Save My Earth is about? Because it sure is. It's a lot.
It is about a lot. So it was published in Hanato Yume magazine from 1986 to 1994. So this is some vintage manga. Classic. It's set in 1991 Tokyo. And there's these youths who are having vivid visions of being alien scientists on the moon observing Earth. And they kind of start connecting with each other using 1980s means. And what starts out as kind of a fun way for them to make friends and a kind of weird, fun thing turns darker when one of the reincarnated moon scientists starts lying and threatening and using violence to accomplish something, question mark, and trying to influence everyone to remember their passwords that can unlock something on the moon base. What happened on the moon in the past? What do they remember in the present? How are the past life memories affecting and influencing them in the present? Why or for what purpose were they reincarnated? Can they keep the past from repeating itself? Can they keep from making the same mistakes they individually made in the past? There's a lot of suspense and drama and intrigue, and also important thought-provoking questions, but also so much goofiness and this obsession with Saint Seiya early on that is probably against current copyright laws. It's got a lot.
I was like, we could get away with a lot more in the past.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on, and it rewards close rereading and discussion, which I definitely got to experience this time around too.
Yeah, I was like, I really wish I could have gone back. Like, I wish that I had enough time. I just things happened this week. So I was like, I don't have time to go back to those first 3 volumes, but I feel like that would have been really valuable if I had done that.
It is. Even like every volume you read, if you go back and read the previous one, there's already been some kind of revelation that makes you have to like reread from a completely different point of view. Like it's very layered.
Yeah, so did you read volume 1 10 times?
No, I almost did though, because I was trying to be good and take real careful notes and be, super scholarly as I went through this time so I wouldn't forget everything. And then I couldn't take it. And so I read a couple, like I binged a couple of ones ahead, and then I had to come back and take notes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened in 2 volumes?
Yeah. There's both a lot and also like, we didn't go anywhere. Okay. Anyway, resetting. Okay.
All right.
So I like to tell the people what our level of the familiarity with the series is so that they know where we stand with this. And so I'm definitely the noob here. Again, like definitely in the early 2000s, I was getting deep into this, and I would see it in the bookstore and be like, that looks intriguing, but I did not touch it. Like none of my friends who also collected manga, they would have given it to me if they had, because we, back in the day, your libraries again didn't just have manga. So like we had to be like, who's buying what series? And so just like pass it around.
Or you just work at Borders.
Or you just work at Borders. I mean, that's cool too. That's not what I did. But yeah, so I remember like seeing it a lot and being like, it's really long. It looks intriguing. And then just like not reading it at all until right now.
Yeah, which makes sense because so many longer series were published right around that time that you sort of got into this. If you weren't buying it as it went along, it became sort of prohibitively expensive to buy it at the end. So I think a lot of series, interestingly, flew under people's radars for that reason. Like they couldn't read it as it came out. They wanted to wait till it was done. And then by the time it was done, it was so long, they were like, I can't pay for,
you want me
$210 plus tax for that. Like, and so that's an interesting, and as somebody who worked at a bookstore, like that was definitely something I saw. Yeah. So for me, I read it as it was coming out from 2003 to 2007. And humorously, usually at Barnes and Noble, because I worked at Borders, and so I couldn't hang out reading manga on my days off at Borders. So I had to go to the Barnes and Noble.
You had to go sit in the aisle of the Barnes and Noble instead.
Nope. I always went to the cafe and I bought a single cookie, and I read like 10 volumes of manga.
You're like, they got some money out of me. It's
a single cookie. Yes. So I read it volume by volume, and then I probably read it like as soon as the last volume came out, I probably went back and just read the whole thing in one massive binge. And I have probably read it since then, but I deal with a lot of brain fog, so I can't swear to having read it other times between. And then I just read the first half again for this podcast, and I was really deliberate about not letting myself read farther, because having read farther already, even though I've forgotten most of the details, is a very different experience from reading it for the first time. So that's one of the things. That's why I'm excited that this is your first time reading it. Actually,
my God, I'm gonna look like such a fool.
No, but because this is what the people reading it originally would have experienced, right? Like they don't know what's coming, and so I'm gonna try to be super careful, and not just casually say anything that's super spoilery.
Yeah, I'm like, truly, listeners, I'm very confused where we're going. We're not even halfway there, but I'm like, I feel like we got to the end, like we got to a logical end place where we could wrap this up in like 3 volumes. So what are the other 11 volumes?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. You will all find out. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I want to just talk about some of our favorite aspects of the series to try to get people to read it if they have not already. So I personally, it was called Please Save My Earth, and I was like, I hope it has an environmental aspect, because I've been like pretty, I don't know, since like the pandemic and getting a house and different things, I've been like, I'm really into like trying to help the environment, been reading all these environmental books, and then like it's delivering pretty good on that. I'm like, cool. I like that. It also does, being like a sci-fi fantasy slice of life melding of all these things. It really appeals to the me who really loves stuff like Tokyo Babylon. Like it reminds me a lot of Tokyo Babylon, which makes sense. They were contemporaneous.
Yeah.
And like liking the Vision of Escaflowne, like it's not, it's just melding all these genres together, and like actually has teeth in a way that like I love a lot of contemporary shoujo, but I'm like, they don't have quite as much chops as older shoujos tend to have, you know?
They can't get away with what Banana Fish and Please Save My Earth got away with.
They just don't do it, you know? Like,
Nope.
yeah. They are progressive in other way. Like, you know, A Sign of Affection is like, you know, making things more accessible, like showing different stories. I'm like, they do different things, and I appreciate that as well. But, you know, I'm like, I love getting the little teeth in here. And,
Yeah,
you know,
variety.
chop it
And
off.
I like that you mentioned Tokyo Babylon, because it feels like it has a lot of that darker edge of
Yes.
Tokyo Babylon and X 1999 by Clamp. There's not as many, you know, decapitations and whatnot as X, for
Yeah.
instance, but like there is that just dark relationships and people who don't understand other humans attempting to relationship and it ending poorly.
Yes. Also, like, there's a Hokuto in here, and I was like, there's a Hokuto in Tokyo Babylon.
That's a popular name.
A popular name. Okay.
I don't actually think it is. So
I don't
yeah,
think
that
so.
is weird.
That's why I'm like,
that's the other thing. Like some of these references to other things, she's like really out there with like the Saint Seiya stuff. But I think there's a lot of other like influences that are kind of more subtle that make their way in.
oh yeah. But what's your favorite aspect?
Yeah, I think when I had suggested it, the thing that I remembered is something that we're going to get into a little bit later about everyone losing their minds. About
Oh,
this
they haven't
manga.
already lost their minds.
No, but
Okay.
but I think it was the suspense, right? So the first half is like there's this one character and you're just like, what is wrong with this character? Like, what is with this person? Why are they doing any of the things that they're doing? And the second half is that sort of with a different character. But the idea of these are people who have been reincarnated, and so they're starting to get different memories back, and now they're meeting with other people who have so it's like they're putting together this puzzle of what happened in this past life and what do they remember and when do they remember it. And then it actually has a faith aspect, a religious aspect that I really just don't see manga even trying. Usually it's some kind of, it feels like a trapping of some kind, like, oh, look, we're going to decorate this with a religion, but it never really feels like it's integrated into the universe of the story. And then it's got that real depth and reread value, which is something that I really like in any, you know, rewatch, reread value. Those are things that I love. And there's a lot of good questions that it's asking, which is one of the reasons why I read speculative fiction as much as I do, because it gets to ask a lot of these questions sideways, and manga sort of gets to ask those questions sideways to us in America because it's coming from a different culture, and in this case a very different time. So yeah, do the choices we made in the past have to trap us? How do we escape bad patterns that we keep repeating? Can we love other people if we hate ourselves? Can we accept the love of others if we hate ourselves? What does it mean to love someone exactly as they are, especially if they're kind of terrible? What can be forgiven? What
Especially
can't be forgiven?
No.
Like atonement, like are there situations where you can't atone for something? And if so, how are you supposed to live with that? And again, like these are big and overblown and dramatic, but like these are the little questions that I think as we age as adults, we start to ask even more than we did as kids, because we have more of a past that can destroy our present. And so if you like to wrestle with that kind of questions, if you're okay with some mature content thoughtfully handled, and you can also appreciate some very 80s goofiness and 80ness and reincarnation relationship drama, Please Save My Earth might be for you.
I was definitely, I guess I was reading some of the pages like while eating lunch with my husband. I was like, look at this just classic 80s face that he's making right now. Just look at that. And he's like, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore. I'm like, no, we don't make them like we used to.
We do not.
I was also, okay, honestly, I was like, it had been dealing with heavy things like content warning for suicide and stuff like that. But I did feel like that last volume, what happened, like the last volume that we read, what happens, I was like a bit unprepared for, because I was like, I feel like in a lot of these sidebars, I felt like she was talking to a younger audience, and I wasn't really prepared for that amount of explicit, but like, okay.
Right. It was, yeah, that's a definite warning. And it's rated on the volumes here as teen plus, right? Which was their Viz's version of like 16 and up. But it was published in a magazine for like 8 to 16
That's
year
why
olds.
I was like, wait. It's like, I'm getting confused about who this is for now. Like, but I guess, again, we had Lucifer. I don't know. Like, this is a silly example, but my husband and I watched like Rocky recently, and I was like, yeah, I remember watching Rocky as a kid, and I was like, I don't think I should have watched Rocky
Yes.
that young. Actually, there's some stuff in here, like, and it is not rated for that stuff. And like, we've gotten stricter. So I'm like,
right.
okay.
But also, that's probably not the stuff you remember. So obviously, it went right over your head, and it did not affect you in a negative way necessarily. But yeah. We write things a little tighter now.
Yeah, I was like, this would definitely be PG-13 today, but okay, that's cool.
I feel like this would have had trouble for many reasons if it were published today, but finding a magazine to come out in, right? Because it really is more josei level complexity, but it's high school kids. So that would be like the josei magazines wouldn't want to publish it because it's high school kids. And the shoujo magazines would be like,
Yeah. Plus, again, we discussed this briefly. We're like, it's sci-fi shoujo, which only have like a handful of total, and they're all from this. Like, there's no, I can't think of a good contemporaneous sci-fi shoujo. I'm sure they exist in Japan, but none of them get brought over here.
Well, I mean, even if you're talking speculative fiction, even Fushigi Yugi is right around this time, right?
Oh yeah, it might be like slightly later, but yeah.
I feel like that was more 90s, like starting in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But it's possible that this had to walk so that Fushigi Yugi could run in some ways.
Yeah.
What edge can we push? Like, how far can we push this? And will people read it? And as we'll talk about, the answer was, oh my gosh, so many people read this and they all lost their minds.
They all lost their mind. Yeah, like everybody's losing their minds. I'm losing my mind. Okay. All right, well, let's set the people up to dive into the meat of it. So if you want to read Please Save My Earth, it is still readily available in the ebook editions digitally from Viz Media. I think it's not in either of their apps, or I probably would have done that, actually. But
sad face.
Yeah. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Yeah, if you want to get physical volumes, obviously you always can do that. There's probably still random volumes available at random bookstores.
Yeah, my quick perusal, because there was one I got that had some printer's errors in it as I was reading here, and I'm like, am I going to go buy another copy of this just because I'm mad about these printing, like the smudging? And the answer was yes, I am. And it was one of the volumes that's just available at a normal price. But there was another volume I got that the coloring for volume 1 is real discolored compared to the other ones. And I was like, well, maybe I'll pick that one up. Like, in crappy condition is like $65. And I was like, oh, I don't
yeah,
I care that much.
Not that much. No, not that much. Exactly. You gotta play. Don't go broke over Please Save My Earth. I was like, okay.
There are ways to access it that don't require you to go broke. So.
Yeah. So do those instead. I will also acknowledge that there are sequel manga called Embraced by the Moonlight and I Sing with the Earth that have never been officially translated into English from what I saw. So we will not be discussing those. It sounds like we'll lose our mind enough with just this one. So,
we'll pretend those don't exist from what I've heard about them. So just there's nothing. This is the whole series.
Okay, cool. I didn't say anything. You have no proof. All right. So now we're going to go to the very spoilery specific talk portion. Again, this is about the first 10 volumes, so I don't know what you consider a spoiler of 21, but here we go. We're gonna name all the character. We're gonna get to all the things. All right. So especially when I break it up into 2, I normally like to try to kind of like go through each character, give them their time in the spotlight, and bring up themes as it is related to them. So we shall do that. We shall see what that gets us right now.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So first we have Alice / Mokuren. So we have to know both of their names. So Alice is her Earth name.
Her current incarnation.
Her current incarnation, named after Alice in Wonderland. Womp womp. Okay. And then Mokuren is who she is on the moon. It tells me it's in the past. I'm like, I don't think I trust anything the manga has told me so far. But
yeah, and I mean, not to jump to immediate spoilers, but apparently past, like Mokuren had dreams of being Alice, as Alice is having dreams of being Mokuren. I'm like, ooh, boy, we couldn't make that any more confusing, could we?
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't trust you, manga. Anyway.
Possibly in the past.
Possibly the past, possibly the future. I'm unclear. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I have been told. That does not mean it's truth. So Alice, you know, is that typical? She's a typical high school girl who she's nice and she does all the things and she's not weird at all, except that she can totally hear the voices of plants. Like even before she knows she's a weird moon person, right?
And
like,
animals love her.
And animals love her. Yes, obvious, because she's a girl. No, okay. So I thought the epitome of Alice. This one made me laugh when I was reading it. She has a confrontation with another character where he's like confessing his love to her, and she's like, "No, like stop forcing your feelings onto me," and like blah 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 blah, like. And I'm not this perfect girl you're making me out to be. So she's like, I'm selfish and petty and mean and pushed a little boy off a balcony. I'm not a dream girl. And I'm like, no, you literally are a dream girl. Like,
I hope the translator had a like lovely moment of like chef's kiss at this point.
Yeah, like
fit in. And that's funny too, because so I like you notice again as you reread, you will notice these patterns, but like she's very shy and it comes across as being standoffish and reserved and like really mature, and really inside she's just like, please talk to me, like,
yeah, she's
please
just like,
like, I can't
relatable content, truly.
Yes. And so she's, you know, she starts out, they've moved from the country to the city, she's struggling, there's no plants around to console her to talk to her and make her feel better and stuff, and she's having trouble fitting in at school. And I have to say, like, her family is hilarious. Her mom is kind of, you know, standard, but like I love that it sort of starts out with her mom and her brother teasing her for like feeling, not because she's feeling sad, but like in the way that parents will tease their teen children when they're being mopey in a particular way that seems a little melodramatic. Yeah. And they're just sort of like puncturing that like feeling of sad melodrama as you look out the window, and they're just having this commentary in the background.
Hajime is definitely having like the best time making fun of her. Like.
And I like that he's like the one person who knows, and he may be a dork about a number of things, but like that's something that he protects and keeps very, like he knows that that's something that would make her stand out in a bad way. And so he kind of keeps that as a thing between them, but he believes her. And that's important because nobody else does.
Yeah. Well, until they're like, oh, she's a moon person. Then they're like, yes, of course, you're a moon person. So
totally a special moon person. But I think that that's fascinating because at the end of the volumes that we read here, close to the end, Mokuren says something really similar, right? She's almost like religious royalty. Like we don't have anything in Western religion that I can really point to like this, but there's a goddess and she gives powers to some people that they call sarchis. And then there's some people that get a special mark on their forehead that shows that they're especially blessed by the goddess. And that's why they're able to do things like make plants and flowers grow and potentially communicate with animals and do things that are like healing spiritual sorts of ceremonies that have a real physical effect in the world. And everybody is kind of in awe because they've been dying off over time. And now it's like 1 in a million people or something are like this, and they're whisked away to this special place to be raised up away from everyone else. Partly
Paradise, Florida.
Paradise. Yes. Partly because if they're left out in the world and they do things like sing like normal people, like, oh no, suddenly Everything is growing everywhere.
Plants have taken over the
Too
world.
fast. It eats all your technology. So she was raised in that she had to fight real hard to come on this moon mission to the back end of nowhere that nobody else wanted to come on because she's in love with the earth, basically. And so everybody treats her like she's not human. And you see her doing her best with that all along, trying to, she does show up as being sort of reserved and mature and, just lovely and ethereal, and all the boys love her. She's like a fairy sort of thing. Yeah. And nobody sees her as a person. And so she's having a fight with the one person who treats her like crap and just is like, stop needling me. Like, I'm a human too. You can push me too far and then I'll get mad. And
now I ruined all your computers. You're welcome.
Yes. And then I get sad and I have to sing and then I ruin everything because all the flowers grow.
And it's your fault, Shion.
It is totally Shion's fault. And I was listening to your Paradise Kiss episode a while ago, and there was a complaint about a very particular situation that happened, and you got like 2 male perspectives from it, but you never heard from the female perspective. And this first half is like more the male perspective, but the second half is going to get you more of what is missing right now, which is what her perspective and her past is. So right now she's a cipher. Like, she really is at this point. She just... Right. I don't quite know why she's making the decisions she's making with the information that I have at this point in the series.
Yeah, like ostensibly she's the main character, so I put her first, but like she actually is not the character that gets the most screen time, I would say, in this first half.
Right, and that's because she doesn't remember. So Alice has had like one dream of the moon, and you find out it's because somebody sort of forced it to happen, but she doesn't remember the things, and she doesn't have the dreams all the time like the other people do. So she feels a little bit like, maybe it's her imagination getting away from her at this point. So yeah, she can't really be the focal point of any of the flashbacks because she's not having them.
Even in the present, she's not usually the focal point because that's Reen, who we can bring up the incident that happened. So yeah, so we ended on a hard place.
Yeah.
Where we're in this extended flashback or whatever's happening. Again, I don't believe anything. So, we're in this extended moon remembrance that Reen is having, who we'll get to Reen. I want to punch him. Anyway, so Reen is having as his moon person, Shion. And Shion's whole deal is that he's been very hurt by the world. Yeah. And he's just gonna push all your buttons all the time. Just you have a button, he's like, that's cool. I'm just gonna hold it down, right? Like that.
Might hit it with a hammer also.
Yeah.
Subtly. My subtle way.
It's not working. I'm just gonna push all like harder, and that's his whole deal. So at the end, we are in a situation where the moon people have found out that so much to explain. Oh my god!
And they find it out in the first volume.
I know. Yeah. So like, this is established very early on. Like, they all die of a virus on this moon base that they've been trapped on, and they got trapped on it because there's like an interstellar war that blows up their homeworld, even though their initial homeworld. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. The initial homeworld was Earth. Then they
I don't know about that. There was it sounds like it's a galaxy far, far away sort of situation, but there were multiple planets, and one of their planets in that galaxy was their original homeworld, and then it kind of started becoming destroyed by
Earth
natural disasters.
Yeah,
so then they moved off to a couple of other colony planets and the moon, their moon. This is our moon that they're going to research on.
And so the Earth just looks like their initial world that they overpopulated. They did all the climate change things that we're going to do.
Yeah, and there's hints, too, that are dropped real subtly at the end there that they think that the purpose of the space, because they weren't really told why they're being sent to the back end of nowhere to study this nothing planet, it is as a staging, like as an escape in case the war got too bad, then they would just come take over this planet, which is extra hilarious when you are reminded that they were like pinky sized.
Right. Yeah. Tamura reminds you of that one time. And I was like, oh, I did not remember that.
Yeah, it's mentioned like 3 times. And so all the time, just like, yeah. Teeny tiny people taking over the earth.
Teeny tiny people. These plants are minuscule. Okay, great. Yeah. So we're in the situation where they know that their homeworlds have been destroyed by this interstellar war that they're having, and they're like trapped on this base, and they've been sent ostensibly just to monitor the Earth. So Shion, is like, we don't have anywhere to go now. We're gonna die, or like it's just gonna be sad and horrible if we don't go to Earth. Like, we should go to Earth. Who's with me? And like, nobody's with him because he's a jerk. So
I think one person was with him initially, but then when she realized she was with Shion, she was like, never mind.
Never mind. Shion sucks. Exactly. So just keep in mind, Shion sucks, even though we haven't gotten to him yet.
Such a mess. All right. Yeah.
So then Shion has a love-hate relationship with most people. So definitely
it's mostly just a hate relationship.
It's just a hate, yeah. We'll get to it. So he's like, I want the religious one, Mokren, the angel lady, to like agree with me. I want to take her away from everybody else idolizes her. Like, I want to ruin her and get what I want and go to Earth. She would also like that. Like, she wants to be the Earth's atmosphere or whatever, right? So like, let's go. So I do think that this part was weird. Can we so we're told that the Sarjalim, they're like in paradise, so they can't have sex or they become an unholy being, which I guess, like, sure, in
they just lose their powers. It's not like they have to go live in shame or anything.
They don't die. They just become a normal
they just have to leave, and because they don't need to be there anymore because their powers aren't going to go out of control because they lost their powers.
So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Religions are weird about sex and think it's like impure, so fine.
And I have to say, I appreciated that this was like the one instance of that I've ever seen where that wasn't the case. Like, even Fushigi Yugi does it, right? Like, here it's like, oh, well, no, they had sex and she still has the blessing of, so I guess it wasn't sex. So, okay. Like, I don't.
Well, I was like, I was unclear on whether the act was completed, right? in the what we were shown. But I was like, I don't know. Again, I don't trust anything. So.
Right. And I think that added to the confusion and doubt for people as well, right? Because she was claiming that something happened and they're like, okay, but demonstrably it did not happen. And also what we saw did not look like what you said happened, which she basically, it started out consensual, right?
Yeah. And then, I mean, meanly consensual, but yes.
Yes, it started out in the most manipulative, horrible consensual way possible.
Yes.
And it ended in non-consensual. But then she comes back and says, no, we're engaged. We're getting married.
Yeah, so we end on this dramatic note where it's like, we think that she has been sexually assaulted. Like, she was.
Yep,
so
she was.
It is unclear how far the sexual assault went based, again, on what we were shown.
Right.
She does still have her powers because she still has the mark on her forehead. And now she is spinning the tale of like, no, it was consensual and I love him and we're man and wife. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, at that point, you're just like, I'm sorry, what? Which is why when you asked if we should end on 10 or 11 and I took a look, I'm like, oh yeah, we should end on 10.
Definitely
like,
10.
You need to end with, and then she drops this bomb and everybody's just like, excuse me, what?
So yeah, so it's like, it's hard because we've ended on this. And the part that I thought was weird, like, I guess it makes sense, again, in universe. But I think some of the sci-fi parts don't all add up for me. So I was like, we get a funny moment, like the volume before, where it's like, oh, in paradise, because we can't have sex, we've like, like body parts don't matter at all. So they just all wander around naked. And so she just like, Shion's like, I need something from your room. And she's like, oh, I'm taking a bath. And he's like, I'll come back later. And she's like, no, it's cool. And, at first he can't see her because she's like in the bath, like in a different room, right? And then she's like trying to dictate where it is, and he's like, I can't find it. I'm just gonna come back later. And
I
then
can't
she just
find it, and this is really awkward.
yeah. And then she's just like, no, I'm gonna get it. I know where it is, and just wanders out all naked, everything hanging out. And he's like,
She does have a lot of hair.
She does have a lot of hair, tastefully covering some boobs. You know?
And she walks past somebody else in the hallway too. And it's just like, what is going on?
And that's when we learn some weird cultural norms. And I'm like, okay.
She does not have a nudity taboo, and it sometimes is hard
she's
for her
like,
to remember.
we have taboos, just not about this one. You know? And they're like, cool.
And then I love that she's like, could you please not tell anyone else about this?
They were like, so we shouldn't tell anyone because we want to see the babe all to ourselves. And she was like, well, don't tell anyone because it's embarrassing.
I especially enjoyed, though, like, there's this one panel where she realizes, and it's very subtle, but it's like very funny.
She's just like, I can't think of a good way out of this situation right now.
Like, oh no, I have done a bad.
Now I'm just standing naked in front of
right?
two men
like,
who think
I'm
I'm really
gracefully
weird.
exit the situation now.
Here's the thing you were looking for. Bows, goodbye. Okay.
Yeah. So the whiplash is hard, right? And that's true. Like, I guess it's not poorly handled though, because sometimes that'll happen. You'll just be like, "Ooh, that was really inappropriate" when it changes tone like that. But she's been doing goofy stuff throughout, so you're not surprised.
Yeah, it was just one of those, like, the goofiness is not dulled out in equal measure, I think.
Yes.
Evenly, or like certainly not in equal quantities to the darkness, right? So I was just like, we're getting a little more silly than I expected. But then, it was to set up something really dark. And I mean, I will admit that I was like, this again, it was kind of my feeling of like, all right, so I feel like we should talk about Rin Shion in a greater thing so I can set this up better. So, so I know. So Rin Shion is very punchable. He needs to be punched real bad.
As both a 7-year-old and as a grown adult.
Yes. I don't care that he's 7 or 8 or whatever in the Earth timeline. Still needs to be punched.
Which, I mean, Alice gives in to that impulse, which was also very 80s. I'm like, oh, wow, you don't see casual abuse of a child like that anymore.
Yeah. That's not cool. Don't actually abuse any real children. Right? But, like, punchable. Like, I rarely hate a character so much, actually.
I know! Like, from the moment he shows up.
Yes. Oh, my God. He is horrible in Volume 1. And so, okay. So the problem of why we can't talk about Alice in greater length is because, like, Reen is sucking up all the air, all the atmosphere that is Alice. And he's just such a little punk. Like, such a punk.
And I appreciate that he's a punk in a little kid way before he gets his memories back.
Yes.
In a like, I like this girl, so I'm gonna torture her way that I hate in real life and fiction.
Yes.
Can
we explain? So one of the earliest things he does, like, you've already been set up to be like, he's been torturing Alice a little bit. Like, she hasn't lived here that long, right? But you're already like, she already is like, I don't mess with this little punk, right? Like, I don't want to be involved with this little punk because he's always tricking me.
His ribbon soundtrack.
Yes! Oh, I forgot about his gymnastics. Why is he doing rhythmic gymnastics? What is happening? Oh my God.
And then he keeps doing it even after he gets his memory back for a little while. I was not sad to see that ribbon go.
That after a bit, like, thank God. But okay. He's
like
so
she
weird.
knew he was coming because she could hear the ribbon.
Yes, it's just like he has his little like ribbon and everything. Like, he's whack. Okay. So then most of his hijinks in the beginning involve gum, where he's like, he puts a piece of gum in her hair. The grossest one, though, is he's chewing gum. And he's like, Alice, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the punk things I've already done to you. Here, I have a piece of gum. You want it? And she's like, not really. But like, okay.
But then she's like, I shouldn't be a jerk to a kid.
Yeah, she's like, I shouldn't be so mean to small children. So, okay. And then he's like, lean down, open your mouth. Like he's going to put it in her mouth. And you're like, no, he not. So he spits the one that he's chewing and then puts the new one in his mouth. And I was like, slap him.
And she was so surprised she swallowed it, which is exactly what would happen to a normal person. I had to put the book down. I'm like, oh my God.
I know. It's just, so this is a hard start.
You are not supposed to like him. And the author does a really good job of making sure that nobody can possibly like him.
Okay, but this is what confuses me is that then Reen, we never like Reen because Reen in Earth's timeline is always being like some type of little punk, either a stereotypical like 7 or 8 year old punk, or I have ESP and I hate all of you and I'm gonna mess you all up with my powers and literally try to kill you kind of punk, like so he's got like extreme modes here.
All the varieties of punk.
All the varieties going on there. That's Reen. But Shion, so then you're like, why is he like this? In the current Earth timeline, you're like, why is he like this? And then we go back and we're with Shion for a bit, right? Like now we've been in this extended, moon back. I'm just going back now. Moon flashback. Where it's like from Shion's perspective, and we get his whole long backstory of sadness, right?
Well, wait, because we don't get much the first time because this is triggered by horrible head injuries. So he's being a punk, and there's
a lot of in between that I skipped. Is true.
Really is being a punk, and he is threatening to throw this flower that Alice bought him off the 15th floor balcony where she's babysitting him, and he just like pushes her past where she can bear, and she slaps him and he falls off the balcony 15 stories. And it's horrifying, right?
Yeah, he's traumatized.
He's mysteriously saved because these trees catch him, right? And that shouldn't have happened, but it does. So he
doesn't crack his head open. He has no like serious he didn't break all his bones,
Right. But he's in a coma for a while, and Alice feels understandably horrible. And as we're talking about this, I am now noticing the parallel here, right? He's unconscious. Everybody's blaming Alice. Alice is blaming Alice. She tried to rescue him, but she's a very small person, and she just could not hold him up once he went over the edge. And she didn't intend to do that, obviously, either. It was an accident. But like everybody is just treating her like she's the worst, and she just started to make friends at school, and now they're like, oh, she's a
child murderer, yeah.
And so it's rough. Some of the other characters are kind of nice there that we haven't gotten into yet, but anyway, like, so before he wakes up, everybody is looking at her like she's the villain, and she kind of is. But then when he wakes up, he's like, oh no, it was all my fault. It was totally an accident. Alice had nothing to do with it. I love Alice. I want to marry her.
Yeah. And then they have an engagement, and you're like, what?
Yeah, so he gets engaged to Alice. So that's like, but you just know that something happened. You don't really get long flashback scenes there of what he's remembering. So you know he's remembered something. You don't know what he's remembered at that point.
Right, because Alice has been let in a little bit by other classmates that they are in each other's dreams, but as like different people. And there's, you've been let in that there's something mysterious happening.
Right, and while he's in that coma, she has her one and only moon dream in this half of the series.
Right,
and it's Mokren and Shion, and she draws pictures based on it. She's a really good artist and shows them to those classmates, and they're like, oh my gosh, those are the people. We didn't tell you anything about what they look like. So.
Yeah, they're like, we didn't describe them in that kind of detail, girl.
Yeah, so you don't know. Like, then he just starts doing all of this crazy, inexcusable blackmail. Chain
blackmail. Yeah. He gets involved. He's bullying around a gang. That's like as far as we know, again, so far unrelated to the moon people.
They're, like one of the people in the gang's dad is in charge of, and I'm still not clear about this. I can't tell if he's really supposed to be a gangster or if he's supposed to be a politician, because it could go either
I'm also
way.
confused by this, because I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. Is his dad a gangster too? No, it really seemed like his dad was a corrupt, like, politician, contractor,
or like
guy.
an oligarch of some kind of like construction or something. Yeah, but like the biker gang that his son has for recreation.
Yeah, he bought a gang for his son because he was like, my son would like a gang. So,
but then they do kind of act like in the adult household, they kind of act a little bit like Yakuza. So there's a lot of jokes made about that. So you're never quite sure what's going on there. But yeah, but that dad is related to this construction repair stuff that's happening with Tokyo Tower. And it seems like Green wants him to do something when they do those repairs that will... What is your impression at this point of like what is supposed to happen?
He's like, Tokyo Tower will allow me to communicate with the moon base or something.
Okay, so like extending the booster, like boosting the capabilities of it to transmit or something like that to the moon.
Yeah,
okay,
and then I thought he wants to blow them all up, like all of it, right?
But then he tells somebody that he wants to destroy the moon base to prevent anybody from Earth from coming across it and stealing the technology and destroying our world too, because we're doing fine enough job without the alien technology.
And I think that's when the head gangster guy is like, Tamura, he's like, but I thought they're the size of pinkies. Like, how you would never find this.
It's such a reasonable thing to say, but at the same time, like, information can be transmitted, and the size of that doesn't matter how large your people were in your tiny moon base.
Yeah. So I'm definitely unclear on like what is Reen's ultimate goal other than to push all the buttons, because that's what he does. He's going to push literal buttons and figurative buttons.
But he needs all the passwords, because doing anything with the shuttle or shutting the base down or like anything you'd want to do at a structural level requires unanimity of the people that are designated as like being there. And so he needs all seven passwords.
7 passwords.
So he needs all 7 passwords.
Yes. Yeah, so he's just trying to manipulate everybody into giving them his passwords. And anyway, yes. So he gets engaged to Alice as an 8-year-old.
That's one does.
Which again, I've had long discussions, or not like long, but have discussed this multiple times with my husband at this point, because at first he was like, I want to read this. And then I think he's fine.
I want him to read this because I want to hear his thoughts on it too.
I know. But so he's like, oh no, I'm fine with Reen having a crush on Al, like 8-year-old boy having a crush on a 16-year-old girl or whatever. That's fine. That's understandable. That's reasonable. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't like that Alice actually kind of starts to like reciprocate it, right? Like he's like, that's a step too far.
Right. But that's the thing. I don't think she reciprocates in any romantic way. She feels responsible, right? And she comes out and says this
a lot.
Yeah, she feels like she knocked him off the building and he fell and it was traumatic and he got this traumatic head injury and now he's apparently insane. And so, you know, like the least she can do is play along with him.
Right.
As long as he needs that to, she really just sees it as an act of atonement. But she also feels bad for him because she can tell he's on the struggle bus with whatever memories he has. Like he's 7, right? Suddenly having an entire adult lifetime of memories in your head too.
Yeah.
She's got some sympathy for that.
I do think that the manga does a masterful thing with him where you're like, you know, again, after he like more awakens to his memories and his powers as the moon guy Shion, multiple characters bring up that it's like he doesn't seem like a 7-year-old anymore, right? Like he doesn't behave like a proper child anymore. He's lost the kind of smart aleck that he was previously. I do think that the manga does a great job of like because he's trying to be so conniving, but he's still, you know, like 8 or whatever. He messes it up all the time.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, ugh. You know, Haruhiko, why did you do this to me? No!
Right. Or he trips over his own machinations. Like
Right. So then Alice will be like, wait, I thought you told me this. And he's like, what are you talking about, girl? You know?
We're like, I had this perfect plan and you all wrecked it. I think it was one of the other references that they made was he was sitting around reading Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And I'm like, I know who his favorite character was.
I know.
Like, he's a Reinhardt stan. Anyway, like the intricate plotting and, you know, trying to run circles around everything. And why, right? Why? What does he remember? What is he trying to do? Like, it's really, because he's doing such terrible things. And sometimes you almost believe he's doing them for good reasons. Like, he does kind of want to protect Alice, but he also needs her to remember stuff that he thinks she probably doesn't want to remember so he can get the password.
So, I mean, my ungenerous reading of some of the things that happen are that, like, this is not how it was initially supposed to go as a story. Because I think we've, you know, you brought up in some of these notes that, like, the initial plotting of the story was supposed to be like 12 chapters. So, like,
yeah, we should
volumes.
talk about that at this point. Yeah,
and it's
so
21 volumes.
Right. And you see the point, and it's actually really funny because it was never going to work as 12 volumes because or 12 chapters, because at like chapter 11 she has to info dump the entire history of the moon stuff in like 3 pages, and then the rest of the 21 volumes is playing that out, like it's expanding on that info dump from that next to last chapter from the original plot.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a very clear, as you said, point where it's like, I can see how these characters have shifted in ways you didn't initially plan for, right?
Right. It may have been part of plan B, but it was not part of plan A.
Yeah. So it's like some of Reen's funny, like tripping over his own 2 feet, I think is just like, I didn't think about this, right? So like, womp womp.
Well, but some of it is just he's over planning, right? Like he should have just gone with the truth.
Yes.
But he couldn't bring himself to, because in his mind, whatever he's remembered at that point in the story, he knows he did something bad to Alice. I don't think he remembers what yet.
He did. Mm-hmm.
So he knows that she should hate him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want that to happen. So he pretends like he's a different person and asks is a generous word there, and forces another one to pretend to be him. And that's where everything starts going off the rails for his plans, because now nothing makes sense. And now whatever fate is causing them to meet in this time and place exactly all together is tangling them all up with each other in a way that he can't control.
Yeah.
And
it make him real mad.
It make him real mad.
Real mad. So basically we told you about Reen's first injury. So Reen suffers a second grave injury. Don't feel sorry for him. Okay. He's the aggressor.
He started it big time.
Okay. So basically he picks a fight with some other people with ESP. So the one that he's harassing the most is called Haruhiko. We're going to get to him in a second. That's his Earth name.
Sad face.
Haruhiko. My sweet child. So Haruhiko's trying to be a good boy. And there's another person who has ESP who, again, I'm told is unrelated to the moon people. His name is Mikuro. And
he comes from another manga that she wrote a long time. She liked him and brought him back. I'm like, that's also a great 80s manga.
He can just be here too. Why not? Yeah, exactly. And he gives me big Rio from like Devilman vibes, but I don't think he's supposed to be evil like that. But that's his vibes anyway.
Yeah, he does. He's had a rough life because he's got ESP in the world where nobody else has ESP, and it's tough.
And then he's beating up the main gangster guy, Tamura, who's also a sweet boy, and I love him, and I would protect him with my life. Anyway, so
they're both just trying to help Haruhiko.
Yeah, he's just trying to help all the little small helpless children. not Rin, because Rin is not a helpless child. Actually, we are told that he is supposed to help Rin to buy Mikuro's mom, and I'm like, okay.
And also Mikuro, though. Remember
yeah.
when Mikuro is talking about like sort of being in Rin's head a little as he was kind of analyzing his power? He's like, this guy has had a rough time.
Should be nicer to him. No, we shouldn't.
But they don't say that. It's more like there's more going on than we think, and we can't just treat people like villains because they're, I don't know, blackmailing us, sending us chain letters and cutting us with their minds.
That's where we go, right? So then Rin gets really injured in this fight because 1, he is outnumbered. 2, Mikuro knows more about ESP.
And did you see the sidebar about how where she set that and that building that ended up on fire in her manga actually ended up getting destroyed? Now that I know how bonkers her fans were, I'm like, I hope that wasn't arson.
I know, right? I was like, no wonder your fans think this is real anyway.
And this is why Clamp stopped writing X 1999. It's the same type of thing, right? Where stuff started happening in the real world that they had written in their manga, and they were like, oh no.
Just shut that down. Yeah.
Need to stop this here.
So then he gets really injured. Because again, Mikuro just knows more about ESP and like kind of does it unintentionally, but so Rin gets really injured.
But it also sounds like there's an aspect of that Mikuro didn't understand, which is like they came at each other and so they should have gotten equal damage, but something bounced 80% of it back to Rin.
Well, because he's full of negative energy, so he's just gotta take more of it. Yeah. So like,
it's very attractive to the negative energy, clearly, as his entire life as Shion has shown.
Yes. And then we get put in this extended moon memory with Shion, where I was like, okay, because I tweeted, I skeeted out, I was like, I really want to punch Rin. But I am open to being wrong. Okay. I was like, I'm open to being proved salty about this. Okay. So then I thought we were on the path of proving me salty, right? Like I was like, okay, we're getting this whole.
We were on that path for a while there.
Yeah. We were on this path. We get Shion's whole sob story. It's a horrible thing. He was a war orphan. He gets put, in like a religious nunnery, like orphanage kind of situation where they also don't really understand him. He bonds with one of the nun-like figures. Then he's like, oh, dip, I got adopted. Of course, he's skeptical of this at first. And then he's like, I really like my adopted daddy, Laszlo.
Also his giant cat.
Also his giant cat named Kya. Which I was like, okay, I'm just going to say it here. I'm like, I don't... this world does stuff. I'm just like, this don't make no sense. We're like, we drive cars and like blah, blah,
we
blah,
get in car accidents.
Yeah, we get in car accidents and die. That's how Laszlo and the cat die. And you're like, okay. But then like, why is there a giant intelligent cat? Like you couldn't come up with something better than cars? Like, are you kidding me? Come on now.
Well, and the answer to that is she's obsessed with her cat. And so I think she puts him in every manga. And I think that was his appearance in this manga.
Listen, keep the cat. Just come up with something more interesting than cars.
Like a flying car accident, even just like one word.
Yeah, I'm just like, get more sci-fi than this, man. Come on, like you're ruining my experience.
Yeah, and this is not hard sci-fi, right? Like it isn't at all about the technology. The sci-fi part is really like totally just trappings to get drama.
Yeah. So Laszlo and his giant cat, like Laszlo was so understanding, Shion gets brought home.
You have hope for like a whole 2 pages.
For 2 pages. And so Laszlo was like, I'm not going to yell at you. Like, I really want to see you smile someday. I believe that you can find happiness. And like, I'm going to be here when you find happiness. Of course, he died.
Yeah, and then like 76 days later, and I love that like Rin specifies that. He's just like, well, or Shion specifies that. He's like, well, 76 days was not long enough for that to happen. But then he's so sad and he keeps using his ESP to jump back to the empty house. Like, it's devastating.
It's really sad. And you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel real bad for Shion. And then like Shion goes to school and like he makes friends with Gyokuran slash
Gyokuran makes friends with him.
Yes, that's true. You're right. Gyokuran is like, hey buddy, everybody's mean to you. I think that's wrong. Let's be friends, you know? And Shion's like, this dude is so fake. Like, he just wants to push his buttons all so hard.
Right. And I like, I'm sure we'll talk about that when we get a little further into that, but that's one of the things that is hard for me because I feel like if Laszlo had more time, he would have been able to explain the next step, which when he's talking to Shion, he's saying like these other kids get to go home to their families and they get sympathy and they get love and they get acceptance from their families. Right. And they have this expectation that that is how the universe works. And you have never had that before. And that's true. But, you know, the next steps over time that Laszlo was going to get him to was like, it's okay to want that. But
and like, I'm going to try to give that to you.
Right. But we also like need to understand other people better. But all Shion took away from it was that base understanding of like other people have stuff you don't have. And he just sort of turned that into a hatred and distrust of anyone who didn't have a life like his.
And I feel like obviously this shows up in the whole rest of Shion's flashbacks, but we also see it with Rin, where one of his is brought up multiple times where like Alice is like, I don't understand what you're feeling. Like we're like, what is even us? We're like, what is Rin trying to get to? Right. Like,
right.
So multiple people are like, Rin, we don't understand you. And he's like, you're not trying, right? Like he's just like, you don't,
or you can't, like he just believes that nobody else can understand him, which, you know, that's a very relatable feeling most of us have had at some point, but it's just 20 times worse with Shion.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I understand. You know, I was like, I'm starting to understand Shion. Like I get it. Even what he's doing to Gyokuran, like I had more when I was younger, obviously, like those compulsions to be like, you say you like, you know, we brought up or wrote in here somewhere. One of the themes is like, how do you love somebody for who they are? Like, no matter what happens. Right. And so you have this compulsion within you a lot of the time to be like, no, there has to be lines, right? Like if I murder somebody, like that's a line that is unforgivable, right? But so it's like, Shion's not trying to take it necessarily at this point that far, but he's just like, Gyokuran can't be all sunshine and rainbows in there. Like he has his own dark side, and I am going to keep pressing all the buttons until I figure out which one shoves him over into the dark side with me, right? Like,
right, which is such like it's just awful. And I think most of us have probably known someone like that, where you can kind of see them doing that. And also at the same time being so lonely and wanting so desperately for somebody to understand them, but they're making that impossible for themselves.
Right. And it's like, it's kind of a test. Like, I don't know. I guess I used to do it more as a test. Like, right. It's like, you won't like me after I do X, right? So it's like, and then it's like, oh, you still passed the test, and then it's like, oh, I have to do something more heinous, right? Like, you know, like I have to.
But then, but then there's me looking at that, and I'm definitely an overthinker, you know, but thinking, why do we think that's a good use of our time? Like,
oh no, it's totally like a cry of like, pay attention to me, right? Like,
which that totally makes sense for Shion, right? But it's hard to see someone doing that, right? Where you're just like, you know that what they want is attention and connection, and every single choice they make pushes that farther away.
No, they're just like, no.
Yeah.
Yes. So like, then he has an initial breaking point with Gyokuran. I guess there are multiple points of like contention, like frenemies strongly with these two. So Gyokuran has a crush on a girl who winds up liking Shion because Shion's the hottie. He's literally tall, dark, and handsome.
He is. They also never explain why he looks different from everyone else. And again, this is the sort of thing where I'm like, you could have done this in like 2 sentences and been like, he was raised on the moon, and I don't know, the moon had less atmosphere, and so people ended up darker skinned in order to not get skin cancer or whatever. Nope, didn't even do that. You're just like, look, this one person is a different color than everyone else.
Yeah. I was just like, I just assumed because he grew up on the moon that he's different than all the people on the planet that he went to, but also it seems kind of weird, but whatever.
Shrug.
I don't know. So So then he sees that Gyokuran's really into this girl, and he's like, well, I'm not really, but I'm just gonna. And like you see the seed of it being like, I'm gonna make her hate me so much so that she ends up with Gyokuran. Like he's trying to do Gyokuran a solid, but in the worst possible way, right?
Or at least at first, and then it turns into something ugly, which is a pattern in his life. You see a lot in this extended flashback.
There was another incident where, so you're told that Gyokuran has like also ESP powers, but they're not as powerful.
They're not as controlled.
Yeah, they're not as controlled or as powerful as what Shion has.
Okay, I'm curious about this. Sorry to interrupt. But so they talk about early in those first, the first 10 chapters before it got extended, they talked about him wearing an earring because he didn't have good control of it.
Right.
But the thing that happened is that Shion did something to get him in trouble. And now I'm like, did he actually have fine control of it? But because he was not a jerk, he didn't tell on Shion when Shion lied about doing this thing. So he had to wear that stupid earring for the rest of his life.
I don't know.
Because Shion, we'll never know.
We'll never know. Maybe, yeah, I don't think we'll ever know. That's just first 10 chapters weirdness. What happened in the first 10 chapters stays in the first 10. We'll never know. Okay. So yeah, there's like this, he shows, Gyokuran up with the ESP powers, and then Gyokuran's hurt because he's like, I didn't even know you had ESP powers, bro. Like, why don't you share?
I thought we were friends.
Yeah, I thought we were
and you're
friends.
just sitting there being like, you're the only one who thinks you're friends.
No, you're the only one.
Sorry.
Oh my God, you're dumb.
But even the girl story, like this is where, and we'll maybe get into it when we talk more about Gyokuran, but like, so Shion is finally enough of a jerk to her that she leaves, and then she does connect with Gyokuran, and then he spends a lot of their time together early in their relationship trying to convince her that Shion is not a monster. And that just doesn't seem like the kind of thing that somebody who is like really calculating and mean would do.
Oh no, yeah, like Shion thinks that Gyokuran is... No, Shion doesn't think that Gyokuran is mean and calculating. He just thinks he's like, Gyokuran's so privileged and doesn't see it at all, that he's like trying to burst this bubble, right? And he's just like, I can't believe this guy doesn't like the amount of white male privilege essentially that he like displays, right?
But he uses it to be nice. Like that's the part where I'm just like really disconnecting from Shion. I'm like, yes, he does have that privilege, and look, he tried real hard to share it with you, and every time you do something bad, he spends time trying to rebuild your reputation. Like he doesn't seem like he's a mean competitive person.
Yeah,
like,
I think that there's just no pleasing Shion. Like I think it like, if he was a calculating person, he'd be like, this guy can't be smarter than me like that, But then I think he's also like, look at, he's just like, look at this airhead who gets everything in life that he wants. And like, it's so infuriating that he just be a silly airhead wandering around.
Like maybe that's one of the themes, is that Shion does not know what he wants, because so many times I found myself yelling that as I was reading this. Like, what, Shion? You want all of the privileged people to be mean to you? Is that what would make you happy? I don't think so. You don't like it when they're mean to you. You also don't like it when they're nice to you. What do you want?
Because he's like, everybody's phonies, like everybody's phonies.
Sad.
Right. So the other things that happen that are sad for him are like, again, they're put on this mission that to a far off, isolated planet, and then none of them want to go. But Shion, as basically like a ward of the state who has no connections, is ordered to go.
Everyone else at least had to volunteer in one way or another.
Everybody else had to volunteer and like
had no choice.
Argue, Mokuren had to argue about why she should be able to go or like be allowed to go and all this stuff. And so he's just like, oh, there is an in between thing where he uses the money that he's being forced to go to the moon with to buy another cat that he names Kya Jr.
He sees in a pet store window on his way home from being forced to sign up for this assignment.
He's like, well, I can get this. And so then again, he does a mildly nice thing where he's like, I can't keep this cat with me. I'm going to take the cat to the nunnery / school that I had to go to, and I'm going to give it to my favorite nun person, and I'm going to be like, let this cat make the children happy and all this stuff. But then the first message he gets on the moon,
the first and only message
that he gets on the moon is, oh, that nun has died and your cat is sick and the vet would like to purchase the cat from you for 2/3 of the price that you initially paid, because honestly we don't know what to do with this cat anymore. So
it's pining for him.
Yeah, they were like,
it can't live without him. Like, it can't be happy without him. And
yeah.
like, oh.
And so you're just like, man, his life does suck.
It does. And like, same thing, sci-fi, you know, you're like, yeah, she died real young of pneumonia. And you're just like, sci-fi world, you suck.
Yeah, like, again, we didn't have a cure for pneumonia at 51 or whatever. Give me a break. Through that whole journey, this is like multiple volumes worth. You're like, okay, maybe I'm being too harsh to Shion / Reen, right? Like, you're like not fully sold on it, but you're like, you're starting to
he
makes
me. More sense, right?
Yeah. And then we get like the sexual assault scene. And I'm like, nope, I wasn't wrong.
Like you can see exactly all of the worst patterns coming together in this one horrible act. And you're just like, oh my dude, like, we know now how lonely you are. We know how much you want somebody to love you. Why are you doing this?
It was all too much. He was like, well, you know, because he's lying when he's like, one more thing can't break me, like the destruction of our other planet and the ability to not go back. That can't destroy me. I'm like, oh, it definitely did. Yes,
he never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity to connect with someone. Like that in particular, like that situation where he's like, everybody else who grew up in these lives of privilege and stuff are just destroyed by this and they can't function. But not me, you know, I'm tough. One more sorrow can't push me over the edge.
Yeah. And
then Mokeren was actually more fine than he is. And boy, that would be a nice moment for some curiosity and connection. And nope.
Nah, let's bone.
Nope. And also, you know, at this point, even though Shion doesn't know, because Shion doesn't know what he wants. Shion's not good with himself. He is attracted to her.
Oh, yeah.
Not in the creepy way that he acts like when he's talking to Gyokuran to get a rise out of him. But he really is attracted to her and to her, what he thinks is her light and her difference from him.
I was like, I got the sense it's because he's like, I think that she's actually genuinely like this pure being, right? Like,
right. But there's these hints that she also feels drawn to him, and that the connection is probably that they're more alike, despite everything.
Right.
Than either of them is super aware of. So that's like, that makes it worse, right? You've got it, like, she does want to have sex with him and he does want to have sex with her in a positive way. And then it just becomes the absolute worst outcome that you could get to when starting with that situation. Like, it's just so ugly.
Yeah. And I'm damn curious to see where this leads, because I was like, Shion in asking for that is doing the one, like, it's really horrible because he's asking her to give up the thing that makes her her. Like, even if it's not actually the thing that makes her her, it's the thing that makes her her in his mind, right? Like, he's like, I love this religious figure who has proven to me that, like, somebody can be sunshine and rainbows and all this stuff. So the fact that he, like, in that scene, I was like, oh, he's actually really committed to doing it. I was like, oh, you should not have been, though. Like, you know, because that's the one thing that's going to actually ruin her, you know?
Right. And he, like, you start to get just those flickers of him while he's in isolation, sort of realizing that that was a bad thing that he did to a person. Like, before that, he was kind of able to see it as this, like, in his own mind, I've triumphed over Gyokuran and I've stuck it in the eye of the goddess. And, you know, like, I don't know. It feels I think you're right. Right. Something really broke when he lost home and everything, even though it was crappy for him, even though he had no connections to it. But when the world ended, like literally,
he was just like, all the masks have fallen, you know,
yeah, like all we have is each other. So I'm just gonna wreck this. Like I just don't.
He's like, the scale of the things I need to rescue is so much smaller now. So let's
Right?
go.
Like, is this what you're doing with your post-apocalypse friend? Boy, yeah, that's consistent with all the other choices that you've made in your life. But also, oh my gosh. And then he said, like, he's sometimes self-aware enough to know maybe if we make others unhappy, we end up unhappy too.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. And you're like, oh, that's good. You should apply that in your actual life and not just when you're talking to the nun who dies.
Yeah, so that's Rin/Shion, who does take up a lot of the oxygen again in this
so
series.
much.
And he sucks. So I assume we'll be shorter with the rest of them. But the other one that I do really like is Haruhiko. Even though, okay, Haruhiko is his Earth name again. His moon name is Shikaido. So Haruhiko takes up a decent amount of space because he's the one that Rin is blackmailing in the Earth timeline and is asking Haruhiko to like pretend to be Shion and like doing all these weird machinations that Haruhiko, as a sweet boy with a an unknown heart disease of some sort, who also has ESP powers. Okay, so
yeah, we gotta get the elephant out of the room here.
So there is a horrible thing that Haruhiko did as Shikaido.
No, Haruhiko has not done any horrible thing.
Haruhiko has never done anything wrong in his life. He's a sweet, precious baby boy who we love very much. Shikaido
was mostly a sweet, precious guy who was pretty decent.
Yeah, he was pretty decent, except, because we just explained to you how Shion sucks a lot, okay? We just told you all the things that make Shion suck a lot. So the thing that Shikaido did at the end that has Shion so upset.
Which, like, let's be clear here. He's totally legitimately upset about this.
He's like, that's fine. His upsetness is valid. But he sucks more. So just keep it in your mind.
Like with everything else, it's no excuse, but it's somewhat understandable.
Understandable. So, again, they were dying of a virus one by one on the moon base. So, Shikaido, Shion, and Mokuren are the final three that have survived. And they have, specific jobs/roles they're supposed to have on the base.
Shikaido is apparently doctor / computer guy. I don't know. Those are not specialties that are normally shared.
Right. I was like, I feel like they don't update you on them enough for it to actually matter. But anyway, the point is Shikaido comes up with a vaccine. And he tells Shion that he's like, all right, I've got this vaccine, but I only have enough for 2 doses.
And he already has the virus, so he's going to die.
So he's like, I'm going to give the vaccine to both you and Mokuren, and you can live out your happy engagement for as long as you live, right? But what happens is that he did not have enough for 2 doses. And he only gave it to Shion. And so then Shion has to watch everyone around him die, including Mokuren, who, as we established, he does actually have feelings for. And then he has to live for 9 years by himself on a moon base. And then he comes back. This is the excuse.
Wait. But he has to stay there without killing himself. Yes. Because Mokuren made him promise that, because she knew that if you kill yourself, you don't get reincarnated. And she wanted him to get reincarnated.
She wanted him to get reincarnated. And so this is the excuse for why Rin is much younger than all the rest of the cast, because he was alive longer. So there was a 9-year delay in his reincarnation. Hence he is 7/8 to Alice's 16. And so, when Rin realizes all of this, and he was already a smart aleck, and Shion sucks, and everything sucks, he's like, I am out for hardcore revenge against Haruhiko. But Haruhiko, again, I think Shikaido too, did not really do anything wrong. Like, He was a normal boy on the moon. Haruhiko is a sweet boy on Earth, and he's just getting bullied by an 8-year-old. And it's not nice.
And it's that idea of like the chains of your past life here. So Haruhiko has done nothing wrong, right? So it's like telling everybody else who he doesn't know, right? These are all strangers to him, right? That like, hey, my past person made a real bad choice. And that was bad. And I regret that.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't do that to you, you know? Like,
but like he can't or won't do that. But also Rin is scary. Like I'm not going to be too hard on Haruhiko about that. Like, I don't know, if Rin was in my face like that, I might be like, whatever you say to make you not be scary in front of me right now. Sure, whatever.
Oh yeah. But then he's like, he does have somewhat of a spine, right? Like he's like, I too have powers, and I'm trying to like foil Rin's plan in the background. I was so devastated when he, you see how it happened, because he sent.
I know, it's because he's such an innocent and he just never even thought it through. I love Rin calling him on that too, being like, wow, that was real dumb.
I know. So like the sequence of events was that Haruhiko has made
like a confession letter.
Yeah, well, he's like, I want to explain the situation to Tamura, my gangster friend who has saved me multiple times.
Twice.
Yeah. He's like, I love that guy. He's like, I want him to be let in, and since he's gotten sucked into this and is also getting bullied by Rin now, and so like I want him to understand what's happening. And then of course he's like, oh, that's a bad idea. Rin will take that out more, and tries to prevent the letter from getting to Tamura.
It's like the one time Takashi does something where you're like, that was a stand-up thing to do there, Takashi.
Yeah. So then he like meets Takashi, who is Tamura's like actual ward, like the son of the questionably politician, questionably construction, questionably
Tokyo Tower Dude guy.
Tokyo Tower Dude guy, yeah. So his actual son, the one that he bought the gang for, question mark. So this guy sucks. Like, not in the way that Rin sucks. He's just like, he's just weak
he's
and
just
whiny.
A dumb rich kid.
Yeah, like, he's just a dumb rich kid. So you're just like, whatever. You don't really have to care about him. And his name's Takashi. So yeah, like Haruhiko like sees Takashi and is like, oh, Takashi, if you see the letter, please rip it up before Tamura can read it. And he's like, okay, bro, I got you. And then so Takashi actually starts to rip up the letter, but is like,
dun, dun, dun.
Tamura sees him and is like, hey, why are you ripping up my mail? Like, that's a crime.
I did not teach you to do crime, Takashi.
Yeah, I didn't teach you to do anything about
whoa.
crime. And he's like, okay, cool your jets, bro, right? And he's like, I was doing it at the request of Haruhiko. And, Tamura's still like, it's my letter, it's mine now.
And also, he made Takashi promise that if Haruhiko asked, he would say, oh yeah, I totally ripped that up.
Yeah. So Tamura's like, we will pretend that we ripped up the letter. So this series of miscommunications and the wild card that is Mikuro meeting up with Haruhiko. Yeah, Mikuro. Mikuro just is like, hey, Haruhiko, like, I heard you have a weak heart. Like, he leaves a letter to Haruhiko, who has no idea who Mikuro is.
At the aquarium, where they're both hanging out as two individual single guys. Hanging out at the aquarium.
Yep. Because they're homing fish. That's a metaphor that's brought up multiple times in here. And you're like, okay, sure. And so he like leaves a letter that's like, hey, bro, if you have a weak heart, like ESP, like, teleportation is hard on the heart.
Especially.
So, yeah. So, like,
whatever you do, don't do that thing that you keep doing.
Yeah, take it easy, bro. Love you. Wink. Like, bye, basically. And, Haruhiko's like, what?
And he signs it M. Which
he signs it M,
funny joke later.
Oh, yes. So the joke is that Rin signs all his letters S, so then he's like, haha, S and M. Hey! And you're like, oh. Okay. So Haruhiko mistakenly reveals, because he like thinks that M is one of Rin's cronies, so he gives up the game, right? Like,
yeah.
And then he's like, oh no, I gave up the game. I'm a dummy. Oh
no. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that I'm curious. I'll have to reflect on this a little bit, because that really like sets something off in Rin. That
oh yeah, that's how we get to the epic ESP battle and everything.
Yeah, like he's gotten mad before, but I'm curious now to try to figure out like what is it about that
I mean, he's like,
yeah.
you lied to me, right? Like you told me that you did what I asked and then you didn't.
But Haruhiko did. He thought he did.
Yeah, Haruhiko didn't get a chance to explain that. You know, he didn't get to explain the intricacies of the stupidness of his plot.
And then it's like straight from there, right? That Rin's just like, okay, well, I guess I gotta go, you know, punish all these people and kill everyone they love. And you're just like, whoa.
That's when like nuclear Rin is set off and you're like, okay. So one of the interesting things about why they kind of get away with this deception about Haruhiko being Shion is that so for some of the Earth humans and the moon people, they look similar to each other, right? With notable exceptions being Haruhiko to Shikaido and another character, Issei, to Enju, who's a totally different gender. So
okay, now I'm laughing because I'm imagining what's his face growing up to be Hiragi, Daisuke growing up to look like Hiragi and hoping he gets a better haircut.
That's true. Daisuke doesn't look quite like, but like closer than I think Haruhiko and
I don't think there's supposed to be a really like direct physical resemblance necessarily. It's just that like the one who had the outstanding characteristic and the one in this version who has the outstanding characteristic.
Yes. So Haruhiko is shown to be darker skinned and all this stuff, and you're like, okay, we get all these like characters literally call him exotic. You're like, okay, clearly he's,
Tokyo in the 80s, very insular.
Southeast Asian. Yeah. So you're like, okay. So first I was like, is he Filipino? Like, is he Indian? It turns out he's Indian, but he's a quarter Indian. And he looks so dark compared to the other characters. And I'm like, give me a break.
Apparently only one color of screen tone was available. Everyone else was no screen tone. Characters screen tone.
And like, I say this as a person who is a quarter Native American. You would not be able to tell that looking at me. I'm just like, man, like possible, but like he's supposed to be 3/4 Japanese. I'm like, no. Like, give me a break.
Opposite of that thing where they're like, oh, this exotic looking person who is blonde and has blue eyes is like 1/4 Italian, and you're like, that is not how dominant and recessive genes work.
Yeah,
friends.
like I'm used to this happening. Like this partially happens in Maid-sama too with Usui. No,
it's everywhere.
Everywhere. You guys are ridiculous. It's not how genes work. It's not how genes work.
I had to explain that to somebody recently, and I'm like, it's supposed to say a bunch. It's a trope, right? It's saying a bunch of things without saying a bunch of things, and it doesn't have to make sense.
I guess not. Yeah, like. The other thing that I thought was interesting regarding Haruhiko was that, again, reading all these sidebars from Hiwatari, she's like, okay, everybody started off hating Rin, and now they've come around on Rin. And I'm like, really?
Why?
Yeah, like Rin in particular. Why?
Especially because I think that was in like volume 8 where we still hadn't gotten any of that backstory yet.
I was like, there's nothing to redeem this boy right now. Like nothing at all.
But I do have to remind myself that the magazine would have been way ahead of the graphic novels.
Yeah.
So it's possible that she was getting feedback from 10 chapters further on but also, 10 episodes down the road, I really would not have come around on him either.
I was like, I can see we're trying to make him sympathetic, but I'm not sold. And then in the same time period, in those same volume columns, I'm pretty sure she's like, yeah, people don't like Haruhiko. And I was like, what?
I know.
Haruhiko's a sweet boy. And how dare you?
They're just like, he's a crybaby, and I'm like, I mean, if I were him, I would be spending 90% of my time crying. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, his life sucks. He has a heart disease, and he's getting bullied by a really big meanie who is Rin that you all like. Like, what are you talking about? He did one bad thing in his life, and now he's like suicidal and like regrets it so much, regrets everything so much. And we can just be nice to him for a second.
Yeah, and like that, one of the things that was interesting is when you first meet him, he seems much more integrated. Like, he just doesn't seem like his past life affects him at all. He's been having the dreams longer than anybody else since he was about 7 years old. So that's, a good 9 years, which just, again, the timing there is very interesting to me. But so he's been aware of this as just like these weird dreams he has, but it's not like knowing that you have dreams about a guy who did something terrible is one thing. Yeah. But then sort of being face to face with the consequences of that terrible thing that guy in that dream did. This is like another level of, oh my gosh, this isn't just dreams I was having. This guy actually did this to this guy. Yeah. And he had no idea that it was going to result in the guy being alone for 9 years. Like that, I don't know what he wanted. He wanted one act of defiance against this person that he saw as a terrible person. And also, if he had known that that was going to be the outcome, I don't know that he would have chosen, but like, yeah, now you're faced with that. I can see feeling like there's nothing that you could ever, ever, ever do that could fix that or atone or make amends for that. So when Haruhiku does try, does throw himself into the river, oh, I just slipped. I get that. I get why he would do that. And I'm glad it didn't work out. Thank you, Tamura. But I could see like being like, ooh, I can't deal with this specific consequence of this action that I did not take. This is not an action that I took, but I've got to live with the consequences of that.
Yeah. So he feels very much like Reen's foil in this way, right? Like Reen is like, I am hell-bent on doing everything possible to like make up for what happened on the moon and all this stuff. And everybody else seems, as you said, like more invested in like, oh, this moon stuff's fun. Like I want to figure it out. Like I'm invested in this being part of my identity. And Haruhiko's more like, okay, I really don't feel like I should have to deal with this forever as a totally different person.
Right.
Like on Earth. And I don't know how to get out of it though. And so like, again, when he's scheming, like, again, he does scheme back against Reen, right? Like, but again, I feel like you get the sense that he's doing it from a place of like, I don't want to be tortured anymore, but I also do want to figure out how to like help Reen move on, Like, I want to be like...
yeah, that's the atonement, right? Yeah, like, what... I broke this person. Is there anything I can do to try to help and fix them?
Yeah. So you get the sense that he's genuinely trying.
And that takes a lot of guts, right? As much as we talk about him being a crybaby and stuff, like he does. He's trying to understand why Reen is doing what he's doing because she wants to help him if it's good. Like he keeps asking, like, so you are wanting the passwords to destroy the moon base and the shuttle so that it can't do any more damage, right? And Shion's like, right. And you're like, right? All right, let's move on to less complicated sad people.
Last people, we've already talked about Jinpachi / Gokuran a bit, but so I think Jinpachi was again interesting. At first I thought he didn't have anything going on in his brain, like in the Earth timeline, right? Like I was like Jinpachi, I was just like, this dude is just like I don't
super
like I didn't
understand and straightforward, yeah,
but in a way that I still didn't fully understand why he was so invested in like being this moon person, right? Like
I still don't think he was though.
Really?
The moon person part of it was more of a, well, that's an interesting way to meet people. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you're like, he only liked it insofar as he's like, this is a wacky story that gets me connected to like wackier people.
Yeah, like, I mean, how weird is this? Let's sit down and talk about it and eat snacks and hang
he just
out.
Wanted to hang out. He doesn't actually care about being Gokuran.
But I think it's also partly because at first, Issei seems a lot more invested in it. because Issei is dealing with a lot more complex of a situation than Jinpachi is. But so in a weird way, I kind of feel like Jinpachi was like, sure, yeah, let's connect with everybody, and then, you know, maybe things will be less awkward. He was not correct about that.
No. Yeah, so we kind of have to talk about Jinpachi and Issei as a package because, again, Issei in the Moon timeline is named Enju, and Enju is a girl, and Issei is a boy.
A beautiful, beautiful boy with amazing bangs.
Yes.
And a terrible little sister.
A terrible little sister who's like, stop being so pretty. What's wrong with you?
I must you be more gorgeous every time I see you. And she's like, please stop talking.
Stop talking. Yes, exactly. So Enju had a crush on Gyokuran.
For a long time, apparently.
For a long time, but Gyokuran likes smoke around.
First, Gyokuran liked Coco, who was Enju's friend, and then he dumped her in a really sort of mean way, and then,
And so she just never really gets Gyokuran.
Except in a purely physical way, which is very funny in that Issei and Jinpachi have a dream about apparently the one time that they hooked up.
Yes, and this again is in the first 10 chapters where what happened in the first 10 chapters stays in the first 10 chapters, apparently, because there's a lot more, like, genuine gay vibes.
It was very BL. Like, you could tell that it was very much, like, of its time where there's always some BL involved.
And you compared it to Banana Fish, I was like, yeah. Like, this is very much the dynamic of the main dude. Like, they have visual similarities between them. I'm like,
It's possible that maybe they were reading each other's work because these were actually directly contemporary, I think.
Yeah, I was like, I think Banana Fish might have been a little bit earlier even, so it's possible. So I'm like, and so we get this sense that, you know, Issei continues, although arguably he doesn't. After the kiss happens for real. So yeah, so in these first couple volumes / chapters, you know, they're talking about having made love in the dream, and like they just keep being like, Alice, you keep catching us at weird times. Like when we're talking about the awkward parts of our dreams or whatever, and she's like, okay, cool, whatever, bye. Like,
we just meet here by these trees to talk about the shared dreams that we've had for a couple of years where I'm a girl.
And she's like, so like, I think like the second or third time this happens with her, like as she walks away, you know, you get this shot of the two, like of Jinpachi and Issei being like, so where were we about making love? Like, you are boning right now. Like,
it's such a high school boy thing too, though, where they're just like, oh my god.
They're like, can we just explore how that would go? Yeah, like it's just like, I don't know. The vibes were weird. So I was saying.
And it was, right? And it is because Shion's taking up all of the oxygen and leaving behind only carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
You don't get a whole lot of play in it, but I appreciate that she keeps coming back to Issei's struggle with this, because in the understanding you come to is that Enju always was praying that she would be able to be reincarnated as a boy so she could be she should be Gyokuran's friend in the next world and not have to deal with all this romantic crap. And heartbreak and, you know, constant like,
now we live in the time where gays are known and accepted, and oh no,
that was not the 80s in Japan, just saying. But
you're right.
But I think it was fine while it was just a fun, like, dream thing they were talking about. But then it really did start to bleed over. And Issei's just like, okay, I am dealing with my own feelings. And I'm also dealing with the feelings of this adult woman who lived a whole other life.
And I'm a teenage boy going through puberty.
Right? Like, this is a lot. So one of the things that I felt like really was a universal connecting point for Issei is this like idea of dealing with emotions that you don't understand and don't want. And you get that as a teenager, even if you're not dealing with reincarnated memories from your past life.
Oh, I think this manga overall does a great job of like overlaying like typical coming of age problems over the wackiest, like melodrama.
You know what would make this even stranger? Like, let's add another level of memories here.
Yeah, oh no, please don't sue us to me.
But so as Enju is like rocking, or Issei is rocking back and forth between like, I'm not going to let my past life control me. Also, my past life is really dictating way more of my actions and thoughts than I want it to be right now.
Dictating my sexuality entirely right now.
Yeah, and I think that's even the fact that he's even saying like, oh, do I, Issei, have romantic feelings for Jinpachi?
Right.
Or is this just the past bleeding over? Stay tuned. I don't even know. I don't remember anything about how this is resolved at all. So.
I think I was annoyed less from like Issei carrying that over into present, like, volume 10, still a bit of a problem. Right?
It's very much like Enju though, right? She carried this torch for him for, their entire college and then graduate school and then
I guess that's
their time in the base
of why Jinpachi doesn't feel it, but like it's just such a hard turn from those earlier chapters,
right? But I also feel like Jinpachi shouldn't have to. Like, there's this interesting expectation. We'll talk a little bit about the Enju Shusuran duo there, but like there really is that expectation of like he should acknowledge that you like him and like you back. Like that's what should happen, and that's not happening, and therefore he's a jerk. And I'm like, I mean, he could be a jerk for other reasons, and he has been a jerk for other reasons sometimes, but I think you're allowed to not like someone who likes you. Like, I think that's allowed.
You're like, sometimes it's just not actually correct for both of you, right? Like,
and Shusuran kind of egging Enju on because she longs for that kind of single-minded love, single-minded one way love that can like dedicate itself to a completely oblivious receiver of that love.
Like, so Shusuran is in love with Enju, right?
I am curious. At least she was in love with her hair, which is
it's not ever brought up like explicitly or strongly hinted at, but I was like, that's the vibes, right? Like,
well, it's interesting, right? Like it seems like she's attracted to Enju's attraction to Jinpachi, like single-minded attraction to Jinpachi. She doesn't have feelings like that are that strong, that could like last that long and be that focused despite, zero reciprocation. And she admires that, but doesn't have it. So it's like every relationship in this entire thing, it's complicated.
Yeah. I just definitely am also getting the sense, so Shusuran in Earth Time is named Sakura. And I mean, like, honestly, we don't get great presence of who Sakura or Daisuke / Shusuran and Hiragi are, at least in these first 10 volumes, perhaps ever kind of getting the sense, but like maybe, I don't know. But I'm getting the sense in the Earth timeline that like Sakura and Issei will end up together in a normal hetero relationship.
Oh, interesting.
Like, those are the vibes I'm getting.
That would be interesting. Again, I remember.
You're like, I don't remember enough to know whether that's true.
It's weird what I remember and what I totally don't remember as I'm going through these again. But yeah, I like the Sakura and Jinpachi bounce off each other real hard. But it seems to me it's because Sakura is too wrapped up in Shusuran. And so when she sees Jinpachi, she really only sees Gyokuran. And you're just like, okay, Jinpachi has made a couple dumb calls, but he's like, he did not hurt Enju. Like it's not.
Yeah, like he hasn't done anything explicitly to hurt people. He's just being a dumb teenage boy again, really. Like,
but she like hates him because Shusuran hated Gyokuran for not reciprocating shit. So like it's the kind of relationship drama that I'm happy to avoid as an asexual. Like, boy, that sounds like there's a lot
that
going
sounds
on.
like way too much.
That sounds like so much, yeah. And I think one of the other themes that's interesting here is this idea of the fact that we don't see people. Sometimes we only see the version of them that we have created in our head that may or may not actually have any relationship to reality.
Yeah. The only thing I appreciated about Sakura so far is that, you know, in the Rin trying to get Haruhiko to pretend to be Shion drama, she's like, no.
She is sharp. Both she and Enju are very sharp in the past, what we've seen of them, and then Sakura now and Issei. Like, they are... Hiwatari is doing a good job of showing you that they are noticing and picking up things that some of the others aren't.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, she is sharp, and I'm like, I would like to see more of her, but yeah, we just don't get even less sense of Daisuke / Hiragi.
Right? And
I have no sense of this man.
I can't tell if it's sort of supposed to be a joke, sort of a thing, like that you're never supposed to really know anything about him except that,
even though he's the leader, you know, like,
right?
Okay.
but thinking of it again, not in our context, but in the like 1980s Japanese, who is in charge, class rep sort of situation. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, they had the strongest and most inspirational leadership. It was like, you know, they were the good person who just tried to help everybody get along, you know. So like, he seems decent. I'd do a group project with him.
I have no sense of this man. I'm just like... Yep.
He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Yeah, he's like a nice boy. It could all be an act. What do I know? I don't know anything.
And they even sort of as an afterthought, because they're like, all the boys like Mokura, and I think they just occasionally would be like, oh yeah, also Hiragi.
Yeah. Yeah, Hiragi's there.
You're like, he likes her too.
Yeah. I guess I just thought he would have more importance, especially since it seems like in the present, he's the one who was like, yeah, we do these meetups where we meet up with each other. I don't know. I was just like, okay.
I will also say that I thought that the Daisuke Sakura meetup story was hilarious. They were on a bus ride for like some kind of club trip or something, and the bus almost went off the side of the road, which if you know anything about like mountainous Japanese roads, this is pretty terrifying. And she started screaming like, I don't want to die, God save me, Buddha save me, and then she said Sarjalim save me, which is their deity from their past life. And he's just like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And that's how they met. And then yes, we should mention that their way of finding each other is to put ads in this skeevy zine.
Yes. So they put Maggie, they're like, you know, this is pre-internet, so they had to be creative to a degree, and they're like, let's put some ads in this magazine called Boo that's about like speculative fiction. And they're like, yeah, it's a national magazine. What else could you possibly need, basically?
They talked about randomly calling people on the phone like they were going through all of their options, and you're just like, yeah, pre-internet people.
Yeah. They're using payphones like there's no tomorrow, man. They're using payphones all over the place. I'm like, all right. Which I think this manga is a great reminder that humans are crazy no matter what decade it is or what technology we have, because...
People gonna people no matter what.
People gonna people no matter what. So like we just explained that within story, people gonna people. But then there are a lot of columns. There are a lot of author columns dedicated.
Increasingly dedicated.
She's very distraught by this, it seems.
Like, understandably, yes.
Yes. Where she's like, so... You know, people are telling me that they are, you know, one of these characters, or like also having dreams and they're a moon person, and like
they also talk to plants and trees and hear from them.
And I'm like their friend in a past life, and like I just need you all to know that this is fiction.
And she's also like, did not expect to be having this conversation with you all.
Yeah, like I didn't think I needed to say that this was fiction, but it super is. And then like there's a lot of ranting about TV rotting your brain, which I'm like, this is so cute now that we live in the internet world.
Like you said, right? It's this idea where she's like, here's how TV is messing us up. And interestingly, it's the same way that every other technology since has messed us up.
Yeah. I was like, you're not wrong. But
like, yes, we do seem to think that watching something on TV is the same as experiencing it, even though it totally isn't. And our version of reality and what's on the television are not okay. Yeah. So apparently that didn't get better over time.
yeah, like somehow, even though we all now carry around little cameras and make little videos of ourselves more and more, we have not grasped the content that like, everybody is making a purposeful little video a lot of the time, and that is not their reality. Their reality is they have a camera facing this one little corner of the room that's all made up and everywhere else is like trash, right? Like, it's not the same, man.
And apparently they could do it with manga back in the day. So
yeah. So I'm just like, cool. That's a fun conversation to have.
And I'm curious because she did starting in volume 8, she had to start putting a disclaimer in all of the volumes of manga that is now standard disclaimer. And I'm actually curious if like she's the reason that is a standard everywhere now, or if it was just, the first time I came across that specifically in manga.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if it wasn't standard in manga because you were supposed to like you just had more of an inherent understanding that it wasn't true most of the time. Like it wasn't nonfiction mangas, not like a super popular thing. But yeah, I was like, this is standard in novels, like at the beginning of it's not like prominent.
But I don't
like
think
that.
It used to be there either. That's why I'm like, is this like, and it's always confused me because as somebody who writes, like you feel like if I put that there, it's a lie though, because I have taken
you
parts
take
of
elements,
real people and real events to create my thing. So saying it has nothing to do with it is kind of not right.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? I disguise all my friends as fictional characters.
But I loved some of the discussions before that. And I liked how she sort of like was getting there, right? By talking about the fictional influences in her life that she had. And then, eventually, working up in the later volumes to like, okay, yes, fiction is not real life. But I also appreciate that as an author, and this feels important, especially for Please Save My Earth, especially when we're talking about volume 10, depiction is not endorsement, right? Mm. And things that we talk about in fiction or even depict in fiction, does not mean that these are things that you should do in the real world, right? It doesn't mean they're appropriate or right or whatever. It's in the world of this story that the storyteller is creating. Here are the things that these specific characters in these extremely specific situations did. And if you can't separate that and you just don't have that ability to have that layer of understanding that this is fiction and therefore I should not do it. It can be really hard to engage with literature of any kind because if you're only going to want to read stuff that agrees with everything that you believe and doesn't make you uncomfortable. And fiction is kind of there to help us explore things that are uncomfortable in a thoughtful way and in a remove from reality. And so I can imagine her just thinking about these people reading these things, specifically the worst things that she depicts here, and thinking that that's okay and that's reality. And she's saying you should go do that. Like that would be horrifying to me.
Humans have also always not had great reading literacy because I'm like, I feel like she does a good job of being like, yeah, Reen's doing terrible. Like even in her side column, she's like, I like writing these, like
dark,
dark, evil kind of characters who are like
people who do bad things but are still interesting.
Yeah, like they're interesting but they're bad, right? Like she uses negative words to describe them.
And she talks about this dealing with the worst and most negative human emotions and activities and stuff. Like she knows this is bad and she wants you to know this is bad too. And she's afraid maybe you don't.
Yeah. So she's just like, the reading comprehension don't seem to be too high with some people. So I don't think they're getting the message, right? And like, I think there are certain fictions that can depict things that are bad, but in a positive light, and then you can criticize that. But yeah, I'm
Right.
like, I don't think
If
Please
it's
Save My Earth is
depicting
doing.
and endorsing a thing, then
Yeah.
that's when you can bounce off it and be like, oh no, I don't think we want to be saying that that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm just like, Please Save My Earth is not one of those things. Like I was thinking, at first I was like, Reen is the person that I want to punch the most, and I was like, I think that's a little unfair. I've read Hot Gimmick 2 times. I really hate that manga. I hate everyone in that manga.
He definitely needs to be punched many times.
Oh yeah, and I'm just like, I feel like Hot Gimmick endorses a lot of bad things.
Yep, that is a good example of it.
Versus Please Save My Earth, I'm like, okay, I get the point. Is that Reen is bad, and I still really want to punch him.
Yeah, and that's what makes it complicated again, because I think there's a lot more of that deepening in the second half that is like, she doesn't want you to think he did a right thing. Like, she never wants you to think that.
Yeah. She wants you to be like, he had a sad. That doesn't mean he's, as you said, justified in all his.
And if you do something like that, what, are you just doomed forever? Like, there's no, you can never be redeemed. You can never atone. And maybe the answer is you can't. And then what are you supposed to do?
I don't know.
A lot of questions being asked here. But connecting that to Tamura, right? His backstory is that he too feels like he did something that cannot be forgiven, which is he was not there for his little brother while his little brother was becoming more and more depressed and eventually committed suicide. And he has spent the rest of his life so far trying to atone for that. And he's like the best. He's the best character. We all love him.
He's such a good gangster boy. Oh my god.
He's everyone's mom. Like, he's
mommy gangster.
But for all that, like, he's still atoning, and so he can't marry his sweetheart and break away from what he feels like is his atoning duty until ? Like, when will he feel like it's enough and he's allowed to be happy with her? And she's allowed to be happy because she's sitting here waiting for him to get to that point.
She's
like,
taking care of all his non-children that he has to take care of too. Like,
the bonus mom who doesn't go to any of the
so
benefits.
sometimes I can't be a mom in 2 places, so I have this other mom.
I have
you.
like,
okay,
this is my extra mom.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the moms in this, while they aren't like big characters, I really do think like they all have their moments.
They do. Even Reen's mom got her moment where she was like, I don't know who this boy is.
Well, I thought her moment was when she said, he's so lonely. And I don't understand why he's so lonely when I'm always here for him.
Yeah, that was
And you're like,
sad. Oh
man.
man.
That would be rough for you. And also, I don't really know if we want to talk about reincarnation. I don't think that would help you.
She's not ready for the answer to this.
Like, Reen's mom, if you actually read the backstory, I don't think it would help.
She'd be like, I don't know how to feel about anything now.
Which is fair. Also, my kid keeps getting his head bashed in. Like, what is going on? And even the little flashes you get from Reen's childhood, like, the fact that he always felt that loneliness and had no reason for it is tied into that reincarnation thing. Like, he doesn't remember these things, but that loneliness and unfortunately that liking of Alice, like, there's some things that came through even without the memories, and then those patterns repeated and were sad.
Yeah, I assume he also had a bit of ostracization because they were like, your son is a genius,
He seems better at faking it this time, but he's still just generally in both incarnations sucks at persuading people.
Yeah.
Like, in the past, boy, did that not work out. Also, now he's just like, okay, that didn't work out in the past, so now I'm just going to blackmail people and like threaten to kill the people they love. It's fine.
Like, nobody believes me. I'm so smart. I give up. Bye.
I still have to try that recipe that I copied out from the early chapters
from Mommy
Tamura. Gangster. That sounds tasty.
Good. I know.
Recipes and tips from Please Save My Earth. So yeah, Mikuro. His mom also had a moment.
Oh, his mom had a great moment. Yeah.
2 moments, actually. The one where she frosted out Tamaro was pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah. I just love that. Hokuto was also like, Hokuto is Mikuro's brother, was like, you messed it up, Tamara. You messed it up forever. Like, we will never be able to rectify this situation. Tamara, not another situation I cannot rectify. No.
So yeah. Yeah, so he tried to help, and that was kind of him. Like he's kind, even though he's had to deal with his own stuff. But they bring you the first discussions around the origin of ESP, and their theory is that it has to do with life and how much you want to live and what you're willing to do to live.
Yeah.
And that's comes back around on Moon with Shion's backstory of the fact that he was originally found after he had been a war orphan for a significant amount of time. And, it sounds like he probably slaughtered a troop of soldiers.
Yeah.
And that's how he got found and brought back to civilization. So that was rough for everyone, because that's not something that your average nun was used to dealing with.
Yeah.
Trying to have ethics discussions with Rin was pretty fraught.
Yeah. But so, yeah, Mikuro gets this will to live because he had a surrogate mom, which ends up being his current family. And I think she actually did get pretty like sick and stuff during the pregnancy. Like, it was a rough pregnancy, right?
They made it sound like she might have miscarried a couple of times or gotten into these weird accidents and stuff.
Yeah.
And then
but like his will to live within her.
She always believed that was what kept him alive.
Yeah. And so then the birth mom, or his biological mom, and that family like reject him once he gets his ESP powers. But then his surrogate mom brings him into her family, and like her sweet moment is when she's finally talking to Tamara, being like, I have to, like test you, right? Like I have to suss you out and explain the situation and everything. And she's like, I think it's so sad that like people with gifts have to hide them because other people are inherently scared, but also like I do get it, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, I see both sides, and I just try to keep Mikuro kind-hearted and try to assure him that like his gift is a gift and he should share it with people and not get exploited.
And he does, right? Like that is lived out, and even when it gets bad and Mikuro's brother's like, we're out, Mikuro's like, we're not, like, we're invested here. There's things we can do to help, and so we're gonna do them. And you're just like, oh, Mikuro.
Oh, Mikuro, I'm so intrigued to see more of you in the second half, and also I'm scared for everyone. Where are we going?
I also think it's hilarious that when Mikuro's brother, who I've already forgotten the name of, I'm sorry, Hokuto, right?
Yeah.
I know, I'm like, okay, forget this. Had said when he was trying to remind Mikuro, he's like, yeah, Tamara, that kid who used to beat you up. And you're like, well, I guess he's maybe gangster, so I guess it makes sense that he was kind of a rough kid, but he's definitely changed. Oh, and another thing we didn't say about Tamara is that Tamara was an orphan too, so he grew up in an orphanage. She's like the anti-Shion.
Yeah.
But also, he didn't have nearly as many, horrible things happen to him as Shion did, but like there's parallels, right? It's the patterns again. It's the patterns and how you break out of them or don't break out of them.
Yeah. It's how you choose to interact with all the people around you. Yeah, for sure. All the other people we listed on here, I think we brought up like enough in the...
Although I will say, Hajime, the little brother, is like, he really did seem pretty solid until he goes behind her back to talk to Jinpachi to be like, hey, you got to break this thing off with Rin and my sister. And one of the first things he does is make a joke about Jinpachi sleeping with his sister. And you're just like, oh, gross.
Yeah, I was like, why did we go here? I did really appreciate the fourth wall, but there are many fourth wall breaking moments in this manga. I just got to point out this one because it did make me laugh a lot. And it was in that scene where he's like confronting Jinpachi, being like, "Do you like my sister? Can you like get her out of here?" And I think it was specifically that Hajime had explained that Alice is in an engagement with Rin. And so he says, you know, like Jinpachi makes like a face, and it's a 2-page spread.
Horrible face.
A horrible face.
It's so funny.
And he said, and then Hajime is like, "I am in awe. There could be no greater testament to your affections than that you expressed your shock with a 2-page spread." And I was like, good.
And then further, this had Hajime being like, "Wow, Hiwatari is probably really pleased she has 2 fewer pages to draw."
Yeah.
This is the gift that keeps giving.
We just keep going like that. So yeah, sometimes there's humor like that in it, and you're like, cool.
Man, or the time when she has one of the characters, I think it's either Hajime or Jinpachi talking to Alice about how like it's her one wild and precious life and she shouldn't spend any of it engaged to Rin. And
I mean, fair.
And she's like, you know, it's your life. No one can tell you what to do with it. Not Hakusensha or, you know, like the people who made the anime or whatever. Or Viz. And you're just like, wow, somebody was straining a little under some deadline pressure, I suspect.
No.
And they let it, like, I'm curious what it said originally. I'm sure it did actually have Hakusensha and whatever, but like that made me laugh because I'm like, that's the kind of stuff they used to let you publish. Probably they don't anymore.
You can't dunk on your own publishers anymore.
Uwatase brought it to an art.
Yeah.
And then that stupid Freon ozone aerosol show.
Yes. So I was like, I like the climate change messages that we've been getting in here.
Yep.
Pretty seriously, like low key, like again, a lot of shoujo and all this different stuff around this era bring it up because it's the time when we started to take it seriously, like banning Freon and aerosols because we were like, it's creating a giant hole in the ozone that has still not like repaired itself yet.
We'll never undo the damage.
We'll never undo the damage. So then, yeah, you get a conversation, you get a fight breaks out between Freon and aerosol and ozone.
Yeah.
And I think it was aerosol was like, I thought I was great and cool. Now suddenly, he cries and runs off, and I was just like, wow, we went straight for it, huh? With some comedy. That's fun.
Yeah, in the background of Shion like hating on Gyokuran, who's just like, well, gotta go break up this fight because that's what I do, and Shion just being like, yeah, you suck, and he's just like,
and I was just like, okay, if only current manga could have such. We don't have nearly as many wins now.
The 80s. Yeah. It was a time. I like you brought up the motif of windows, which I thought I hadn't noticed that at all, but I thought that was a good catch.
Yes. I don't know why. I was just like, man, we keep meeting in these like abandoned, broken down warehouses already. And like
could break stuff there without worrying.
It's already broken, so we don't have to worry about it.
Could break each other without worrying.
Yeah. It's already blood here probably somewhere. That's good. Yeah, so like, I don't know, in different scenes where Rin is like talking about souls or like, you know, like talking about something serious. He's always breaking windows. So he breaks the window when Gyokuran is like, I didn't do that.
But I have to wear a stupid earring possibly for the rest of my life as a result of this, maybe.
Yeah. But like, Shion did this and broke all the windows. And you're just like, yeah, because Shion can't keep it together. He can't be honest. Like he's, you know, this transparency thing doesn't work on him. You know, like
he can't stand being able to be seen through.
Yeah, no, he can't. And so so then there's like a time where I guess in the Earth time, Rin is talking to Haruhiko and is just like, I would give up my soul and my everything for her, but I'm like, you're standing in front of a broken window in a rundown house and you suck, don't lie.
How dare you say something, you know, like epic and gallant like that while you suck so much.
Yeah, I was just like, I can see you for who you are. You're lying. You're a liar, and the art is telling me that you're a liar, you're
very on the nose. Yeah, but I think that's also interesting because once he gets some of those memories back, the way that he treats Alice, aside from all the lying and manipulation, you can tell that she's precious to him.
Oh yeah, he has that like one genuine meltdown that again foils his like own plans because
why do I have to be a kid?
Yeah, like Alice is actually like paying attention to what he says, right? She's like, I do care about you.
She's like, whatever.
Yeah, like I think he just thought like he could get away with it in the same way that like they let him in on the early meetings because they're like, he won't understand because this is all gibberish to him and he's 7 or whatever, right? And then like he's paying attention, like he is following, he's secretly one of the moon people, right? So like,
but it's also complicated because that specific scene, I like that vulnerability that did come back to bite him felt genuine, but he also did something incredibly manipulative in that exact same.
Oh, I mean, he can't let it. Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I can't. So was that vulnerability part of that manipulation? Or was that you genuinely having a moment of vulnerability? And I can't tell.
I think he was genuinely having a moment of vulnerability. Like, I feel like he got frustrated and was just
want
like,
that to be. And it is like, it's not. Either way, it's not like that feeling is false. He does feel that. But it's, did he do that to get her sympathy for the manipulation? Or was that a genuine expression of grief and nothing else?
I don't know. And when I read it, I was like, I think he genuinely is very frustrated by the situation and can't hold it in anymore.
That's one of those rereading things, right? When you find out why he's 9 years younger, that scene is so much worse to go back to. So I totally recommend doing that.
Yeah.
Gotta clean out those tear ducts.
Oh no.
So Shoujo's 4. Sorry, I did want to bring up the faith thing, which I think I mentioned a little bit, but again, it's just, it's not hitting you over the head with it. It's not set dressing. It's a real thing. You know, they're talking about it throughout, but I love the fact that I think this was Rin though, so he's an unreliable narrator. He's pretending to be Shukaido. And he says, the more we try to disprove Sargelim's presence, the more we're unable to deny it. We must face the facts. Can it be chance? All of us together in this one place at this one time. Given the circumstances, it would be unscientific to deny Sargelim's existence.
Yeah, I gotta say that, like, this is a minor point, but, like, there's a editor's note early on about the hospital that Green goes to.
Yes.
Related to Faith, right? So, like...
Yeah.
They changed it to like North Star Hospital or something.
They explained that it was the original was like a pun on the translation for Fist of the North Star or something. And you're like, oof, that's a lot of work. That's a heavy lift.
Yeah. And they were like, well, it was called Apocalypse Messiah, but we decided to change it to North Star. And I was like, hold up. First of all,
you did what now?
Apocalypse Messiah is a insane name for a hospital. Second of all, it kind of makes more sense the more I read this. Third of all, what under what artistic liberty gives you the right? Like, because I'm like, Apocalypse Messiah is just feeling more and more correct.
Or is he a messiah, or is he going to just destroy everything?
I don't know. And the Messiah, I don't know. I don't know anything.
It centers on the negative side of humanity and how our impressions change depending on our point of view. So naturally, the reader response has been highly varied. The t-shirts was another one. I mean, this is true of any 80s manga, actually.
They had great fashion.
Great t-shirt game.
Great.
Random English words or almost English words on t-shirt game.
Yeah, I kept trying to read them and be like, that's not like...
What is that supposed to be, do you think?
No, what killed me, though, I was like, no, that's corny, was like Sakura and Daisuke at one point wore a shirt with their own name on it, and I was like, no.
I was like, is that supposed to be like their gym uniform from school or something?
Sakura's looked like that was possibly, because it looked like a name tag kind of placement. So
Yeah,
I could
like
believe
were they
it for
coming
her.
from
But
school? If they
Daisuke,
meet on the
no, I was like,
weekends,
that's
though.
just a shirt. And you're a loser.
You just found some piece of text somewhere that had that word on it, and you were like, yes, I need to
like,
use
no,
this.
that's loser behavior, Daisuke. Like, I don't know a lot about you, but that's one thing that sticks in my mind, and then makes
That's
you
a
loser.
strike.
Yeah, like...
Oh
Womp
man.
womp.
I also thought it was very interesting in her columns, which you know this from Fushigi Yugi as well, with Yuritase, like the struggle of trying to fill those columns sometimes.
She's just like, I'm just gonna write about Phantom of the Opera for 5 columns now.
And then you're like, this is actually very relevant. So this is an insight into why Rin is the way that he is.
Yeah, right. I was just like, you know what? Fair.
that and like all the dark Tezuka characters. She's like Blackjack and like the certain character from Phoenix and Dracula and Dororo. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those are all extremely dark characters. And she's talking about reading it when she's like 7. It's like, okay.
I told you we didn't have content moderation in the past.
Apparently not. The original Planet of the Apes was rated G because they didn't have anything else for it.
The note that made me really sad was when she was talking about not like Tezuka's work, but I guess Tezuka had just died. And then she was recounting a time where she was like, I was invited to go on a panel that included Tezuka, like as if we were equals, right? Because we both work in manga, and she's clearly like blowing up in
her imposter
manga
syndrome was so bad that she said no,
and so she's like, I said
honey.
no, and I was like, that's a wild thing to have done, actually.
That was my first thing, was like, I can't believe you did that. Also, honey, like, I'm so sorry.
No, you gotta regret the things you did, not the things you didn't do.
Although, as somebody who has met some of my favorite authors and just been a blithering mess every single time, I don't know, maybe that's fair.
That's true. Like, are you gonna make a fool of yourself?
Fall flat on your face in front of the god of manga? I mean, that's a lot of pressure.
Are you gonna learn something horrible about them too? Like, meet your idols, and then you're like, that's not my idol anymore.
In my case, they were incredibly gracious and clearly used to meeting fans who have no brain cells.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what you can aspire to, right? As a creator. I also, one of the art things about this, because she was trying a new art style and that doesn't always work out great. I would not say the art is the high point of the series, but there's these moments that kind of remind me of the way Togashi from Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, he's got like 3 different modes that he'll draw in. He's got kind of like normal, slightly, silly, cartoonish, and then he's got action, and then he's got like almost photorealistic pictures. And I appreciate when she deploys her ability to do the really beautiful drawing. And it's usually when Rin is having a Shion moment that's really poignant in the present, or Haru is. But that sort of ability to sort of switch and just draw something amazingly evocative and then go back to silly, goofy stuff in the next panel when it makes sense. I always appreciate that in an artist.
Yeah, I mean, the art is not like, I would say it doesn't like stand out to me, but the whole manga is a mood and the art is evocative, as you said. So.
And then she had a sidebar about that too, though, where she had that little kid. She, saved people from a house fire.
Yeah, no big
as
deal.
one does. Yeah. And then she's like, the look that little kid gave me, she was trying so hard to describe it with words. And she's like, I can't really describe it.
I was like, just draw it.
And then I'm like, she did, though. She did. That's how she drew some of these pictures of Rin. Like, it's like, that's why I
still wanted her to draw it in the panel, too. I don't know.
Hey, but remember, she didn't want to draw art in the panels, or in the sidebars. She just wanted to do words.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I think that's the first, not quite half.
nearly half.
So you and I will reconvene in 2 weeks to discuss, The back
To
half.
find out.
To
the
find
both
out
of us, what happens in
what
the
is even
second half.
happening. Where are we going? Yeah.
Let's find out.
You find out next time. Okay, I'll do a proper outro. Thanks for listening to Shojo Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns? That question's not relevant. Do you know, where do you think this is going? Are you intrigued to read this? That question can be relevant next time. Email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shojo and Tell on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Tumblr. Autumn, where can people find you and your work on the internet?
If you look really hard, you can find my work on Blogger under the Moon in Autumn. But sometimes I can't even find it using the search function. So good luck.
Oh, I'm going to find it and I'm going to link it in the show notes. Threats.
There are multiple blogs for my multiple interests.
Challenge accepted. Are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts or clicking the thumbs up or whatever on the Spotify. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. As you may have guessed, we'll be back next time for the second half of Please Save My Earth. No, seriously, please save my Earth. Climate change is super real. Can I sing songs to make trees grow faster? No. Well, I'll just plant more trees. I'm going to plant 2 persimmon trees this spring. Plant all the trees. Yes. Anyway, stay tuned. Until then, bye.
Hey. We've got one too. On your back. You know, a plum. I can see it.
I do, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's only a little one though.